years in storage. Unlike grocery store food that goes bad fast, the company to trust is My Patriot Supply. We've served millions of American families in recent years. Our food kits give you over 2,000 calories a day, which is what your body needs under stress to survive. We ship fast and discreet to your door. You'll have your food within days, too, not weeks or months. Our mission is your survival. Our food could definitely be a lifesaver when the peanut butter hits the fan. So don't wait. It's time to act. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com. MyPatriotSupply.com.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you, along with Michael Brain. His website is linked up at coasttocoastam.com, and his books are all listed on his website. And take a look at some of the pictures and graphics that he sent from Webmaster Lex that we've got posted under his name at coasttocoastam.com. Michael, you wanted to tell us a story of synchronicity? Let's dive into it.
I won't drag it out too long, but at one point in time I was developing a sightseeing guide series that you described when we first and I was going to go to a book fair in New York City at the end of May. So at first I was just going to fly east from Ashland, Oregon to Philadelphia, visit my sister and family, and take the train to New York and do the book fair and come back to Oregon again, which I did. And I was on the train going to New York, and I just happened to see this sign that said Rahway, New Jersey. And I thought to myself, I know somebody from Rahway, New Jersey. So I did the book fair in New York. And what I failed to mention is when I first got on the plane going from the West Coast to Philadelphia, I grabbed the Hemispheres magazine, United Airlines magazine, thinking I'll contact them and see if maybe they could do a little write-up of my travel guide series, my public transit. And so I grabbed that, didn't even look at it, put it in my attaché case. All right, then I went to New York, did the book fair, and it was now June 1st, and I grabbed the new Hemisphere magazine issue, put that in my attaché case, didn't look at it, got home to Ashland, Oregon, looked at the pile of mail on the kitchen table, and there was a big white envelope that said Hemispheres magazine. Oh, interesting. I opened that up, and it was the new issue. And it said, see page, say, 24, open up, and there's a review of my travel guide series, sitting right in the magazine. Oh, my goodness. All right. That was, the second thing. And then I go upstairs to check my emails and see did I happen to get any orders while I was out of town. And my goodness, I got an order from Ashland, Oregon, where I live. I never got an order online down the block. So I emailed these people back and I said, would you like me to personally deliver this to you, or would you like to come up and see a llama ranch, which I had at the time, about 7 llamas. And they said, we'll come up to the llama ranch. And then, by the way, I noticed the name, and it's the same name as the person I knew when I saw the sign in Rahway, New Jersey, that I had met 42 years earlier at Carnegie Tech when I went for first year in engineering. And I thought to myself, no way, it's not possible. Same person, same sign, Rahway, New Jersey. So I emailed back, and I said, could you be possibly the Jan Chaikin that I knew at Carnegie Tech 42 years earlier? I get a phone call, and I recognize the voice. I would be that Jan Chaikin.
You can't make that stuff up, Michael.
No, you cannot. And here's the thing. One of my other mantras in collecting all these stories and interviews with hundreds and hundreds of people is, if but one of these is true, then what? And that was the thing. For me, that had to be true. That could not possibly be coincidence. And the other things that I had in my life had some personal credibility to me even more. So if one of these is true, then more of them are true. And a lot of the stories that people have are definitely worth looking at and require looking at and trying to understand better.
Friday night on our program, Michael, we're going to have our Ghost to Ghost annual Halloween show. Why don't you contribute a few stories to us now on the tie-in between Halloween stories you've come across?
Well, you've read my mind, because posted on your website are 4 or 5 photos of ghost stories. And I've been emailing the producers saying I have 4 great stories, and they go along with the photos. And one of those stories is Rosemary's own Ghost Kids of Gettysburg. So I'd be happy to share stories. I think I sent you some stories. Do you recall seeing them?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Those go along with the photos that are posted along with the description of me. So please feel free to use these any way you like. But they're great stories. They're fun. And so you would like to probably talk about them more on Halloween night, right?
Oh, no, let's take a couple now as just a kind of a prelude to things.
Okay.
Tell us about the Rosemary thing. She was her ghost kid.
Yeah, she was staying in a bed and breakfast at Gettysburg. The place was full of people in a group that Rosemary was with. And that night, all the rooms were full. And that night, everybody was hearing what sounded like furniture moving around, knocking pans on the walls. And in the breakfast, in the following morning, they were all looking at one another. Did you do that? Why were you moving furniture around in the middle of the night? And they all swore, no, I didn't do it. Well, part of what Rosemary did at the time was that she would take all kinds of photos, and she'd take random photos of things, because given the theory that sometimes something will pop up in a photo that you don't see. And that's exactly what happened. She feels that there was a reflection of a boy and a girl, maybe a brother and a sister. And look at the photo on the site. And I think some people will see it immediately, and others may not see it at all. But I see it. And I know that other people have seen it.
There's definitely a little face. There's a little bizarre face looking through that glass or whatever it is.
That's the little boy, I think, the one that seems a little more obvious. And then there's what looks like a little girl, and she's maybe a little taller, a little older, and dressed in period clothing. So that was that one. And that was an incredible story. And there's what makes it even stronger is there's multiple witnesses. All these people having had that similar experience at night with the noise going on. The ghost dog is one of my favorites. And the picture on the website is of a sketch of a dog that was basically a friendly dog. It was a pit bull. A lot of people are a little wary of pit bulls, but this was a friendly pit bull. And this was a woman who was writing for Touched by an Angel in Hollywood. She was a writer in that series for many years. And she would go back and forth between L.A. and Salt Lake City. Some of the writers would go to Salt Lake City. The production was basically in Salt Lake City, and a lot of the writing was done in Hollywood. So she was there, and she spent a fair amount of time there, and she began to get the feeling that there was a dog, a ghost dog, not something that she saw or that she actually felt or heard, but she just had this distinct feeling that there was a dog, and it was getting progressively a little more friendly over a period of time, to the point where she would feel, again, she didn't really see this, but she would feel like its paws up on the bed. And it was just as if it was looking for its previous owners, you know? And anyway, so she went back to Hollywood, and she was talking with one of the other writers, and she was saying to the other writer, you know, I just had a hard time going to sleep. I just couldn't get the rest I needed and all that. And then he looked at her and he said, it's the dog, wasn't it?
Wow.
He had the same experience.
Same thing.
And you know, it's nice. Not all ghosts have to be terrifying, and the sort of thing that ghost to ghost might scare the who knows what out of us. Another story, which I love this story, and you go onto your website and you'll see a guy with a Bela Lugosi tattoo on his arm.
And a strange T-shirt, right?
A strange T-shirt that would be an effigy of Hotel Transylvania exaggerated, you know.
Yeah.
And he took his girlfriend to Romania for Halloween. And he says in the middle of the night, he said they woke up and they had marks on their wrists. It's just too unbelievable to be true. And I thought to myself, here's the making of an urban legend. You know, all the perfect ingredients that would go into an urban legend. A man that is obsessed with Bela Lugosi in Transylvania. But I'll tell you what, George, he seemed sincere and honest, and I just think he was making the fact. He did promise a photo. I didn't get the photo, but I thought of it more in an alternate sort of way, as here was a person who was driven most of his life to actually make a trip over to Romania, to Pennsylvania, being some possible further connection of a spiritual or mystical nature. I don't think it was just accidental, and I don't think he was just making up a story to fool me. Most people want to tell their stories because they sincerely want people to listen to them and hear what happened to them.
Michael, I bet you could write another book just from the calls you're going to get next hour from people with their stories.
I can't wait, George. I can't wait for the calls because this has been an exciting life for me to meet with all these different people all over the world and sit them down and listen to their stories and also give them my reactions and feelings and opinions because they all want to understand better what's happened to them. And hopefully they think that maybe because I've been doing this for so long and studying this and talking to so many people and being involved with ufology as I have been, that maybe I have something that can be useful or helpful to them. So they're not the kinds of people that want to put you on and pull the wool over your eyes. They want to have you hear what happened to them and maybe assist them in understanding what happened to them.
Did you ever think that you would be covering stories like this when you were starting to do your work as a psychologist and as a travel expert?
George, I was on my path to becoming a clinical psychologist. And if I had stayed at Temple University, Philadelphia, I would have been a clinical psychologist, but I had been bitten by the travel bug, and I gave up a fellowship that they offered me, and that made my parents cringe to think that I would do something like that. I said, I'm going to Hawaii, I'm going to study the psychology of travel, Mom and Dad.
The road not taken, right?
Yes, and I'll tell you what, I'm really happy that I did it because it has been so far a very fulfilling, meaningful life, and I think I've learned something.
Now you have also you've done a lot of work with MUFON, haven't you?
I have. I was a state director for Hawaii for about 10 years, and then I moved to the mainland from Hawaii, and I've been very, very active going to most of the MUFON annual symposia and going to meetings and participating with MUFON. That I had a talk with Walt Andrus, and Walt said, why don't you become our ambassador? Ambassador at large.
I'd love it.
And so I've been the ambassador at large, and I tell my friends, I say, well, I don't have a portfolio. I'm an ambassador without a portfolio. But I have traveled around the world. I have met many people in ufology and the paranormal fields, and basically spread the good word about MUFON as best I could, and even got to lecture in San Marino one time, one occasion.
I just came back from a sold-out show in Everett, Washington, so not too
How was
far
that?
from you. It went great.
Oh, good. Well, I don't live that far away. I'll have to come to the next one.
We've been there 3 times already. They love us.
That's great. So you've got another one in the works, I would imagine.
Not yet, not in Everett. We've got a couple more spots for next year around the country, but the theater we were on was the historic Everett Theater. It's haunted.
No kidding.
There's a guy named Simon who haunts the place, and he's friendly. I mean, he doesn't do anything evil to people, but He turns lights on and off and things like that. It's really bizarre.
Ghosts are pretty creative in the ways they can get your attention, huh?
Sure is. So, are you glad you did not become a clinical psychologist in the long run?
I'm so happy that I did not, because as important as that work is,
It is.
you have to have the right mindset for it, and it can be a very difficult career, dealing with other people's problems. It's important, but it was not for me.
We're going to take calls with you next hour, Michael, with stories and questions about the unusual and the paranormal. What would you say is the most haunted area you've ever been to?
Well, I want to preface that. I want to say to you that I have approached, I can think of about 3 or 4 hotels in my life that upon immediately seeing them, especially the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I have not.
Looking through a forest in mist and fog and rain, and I said to myself and other people in the car, that place is haunted. It really is haunted. As the Hotel the Harrow on San Juan Island up here opposite Seattle, and a few other hotels that I've been to. So I feel as if I personally have been sensitized somewhat to pick up on these things. I do. So.
I bet you have too. Well, let's stay with us, Michael. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with Michael Brain and take phone calls. Share your stories with us, folks. Just kind of a prelude to Ghost to Ghost. And, of course, if you have a question about the unusual and paranormal with Michael's travels, jump aboard as well. His website linked up at coasttocoastam.com. It's his name. Spells his name, by the way, even though it's Michael Bryan. B-R-E-I-N is how he spells his last name. And we've been talking about his work, The Road to Strange.
Find out more about tonight's guest. Log on to coasttocoastam.com.
Let's move over to the wars of the future. The post-apocalyptic, the after the place falls apart. I'll get there. I get paid to do this.
Mornings from 6 to 10 on KFI.
As usual, this year for Halloween, I'm going to dress up as a devil. A handsome devil. And now, the top 5 reasons to visit Morocco. Number 5.
Halloween freebies. Rewards members get a light-up pumpkin necklace on Halloween.
Number 4.
Trick, treat, win. Load up on candy and win up to $300 in free slot play when you earn 100 points on your rewards cards the 31st.
3.
Baseball's biggest games on big screen. The whole world will be watching, and so will you at Morongo.
And the number 2.
Entertainment is back. Gypsy King, November 5th. Robin 6th, November 13th.
And the number 1 reason.
Rob Lowe, Keith Sweat, and Clint Black all this year. Go to MorongoCasinoResort.com to check out the full lineup.
Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Morongo. Good time. We've all heard that you've got the right to remain silent, but have you ever really thought about what that means? It's the police literally telling you to shut up. I'm attorney Darren Kavinoki from 1-800-NO-CUPS. If you're in custody and everything you say can and definitely will be used against you, remain silent and just shut up. Just make your one phone call to 1-800-NO-CUPS, the leader in criminal defense. 1-800-NO-CUPS, because no one looks good in handcuffs unless they're into that sort of thing. 1-800-NO-CUPS.
Should kids and teens get the COVID-19 vaccine?
Is it safe for my daughter?
Have
Have they been thoroughly tested?
Will my grandson be okay if he gets vaccinated? He's still developing.
The short answer to all these questions? Yes. The COVID-19 vaccine is proven to be safe and effective for ages 12 and up. Feeling good about the facts? Visit myturn.ca.gov today to schedule a vaccination appointment or find a walk-in clinic near you. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
If it doesn't affect you, we're not interested. KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County.
It's time for your morning wake-up call. Here's Jennifer Jones-Lee.
Well, good morning, and welcome to a Tuesday. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Here's what's just ahead. We've got a California state senator who wants to ban guns on movie sets, following the accidental shooting and killing of a cinematographer by actor Alec Baldwin. We've also got a beach water advisory that's been put into effect for LA County because of, yep, you guessed it, the rain. So the rain bringeth, and the rain bringeth some stuff that we don't want. And the ports of LA and Long Beach will start penalizing cargo companies that don't move certain containers from the dock. Now, at 5:05, we're going to talk with ABC's Aaron Kursky. There's an FDA advisory panel that will meet this morning to decide whether to authorize the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for kids aged 5 to 11. And at the heart of this debate, obviously, is do the scientific benefits outweigh the risks when it comes to vaccinating the 28 million kids that would be eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine? So we'll find out more when we talk with Aaron in just a few minutes. Let's start with some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. California state senator wants to ban guns on movie sets following the accidental shooting and killing of a cinematographer by actor Alec Baldwin.
Senator Dave Cortese says he plans to roll out legislation that would not only ban live ammunition for movie sets, but also guns that are capable of firing live rounds. The senator making plans as people in the industry, including actor Jeffrey Johnson, say real guns are no longer needed on set.
Especially when it's so easy to fix. It's so easy, there's so much post-production. It's just not.
Petition calling on actor Alec Baldwin to use his influence in the industry to get guns banned for movie sets has now raised more than 28,000 signatures. Like Troy, KFI News.
And the San Jose Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office are expected to hold a news conference tomorrow to talk about the actual investigation into the shooting, and that probably is when we'll learn if Alec Baldwin or anybody else on the set will have any charges filed against them. Governor Newsom said even though the rain across California is a good thing to help with the drought, it also shows the dangerous effects of climate change.
It's the word of extreme. You know, there's a climate for year and order. Once again, higher than everything goes and west of the north.
President Obama got up to 1.5 inches of rain from yesterday's storm. Now, because of the storm, we've got a deep water advisory that's been put into effect in LA County. County officials say if the runoff from the rain is expected to carry bacteria, chemicals, and gas into the ocean. The advisory will be in full effect until Thursday, but it may be extended. We've got extreme weather.
The draft is deep in the second